Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pure Jamie Milne podcast. Pure Jamie Milne podcast, where we make Zoom better for everybody. I'm here with good friend, personal trainer, professional boxer, runner, and a human being, which was a little disclaimer in the show notes. And that's the part that people often forget, that Ange is a human being like the rest of us. Something that stood out about Ange is so far she has lived like she types, fast and with a lot of mistakes. And
yeah, that's from my dad.
Yeah. Oh, is that from your dad?
Yeah.
I wish I could meet this guy. He sounds the best.
Yeah.
As a man that is going out of my way to change the narrative on failure and encourage more failure, I think it's really cool. But I like Ange has said to me before that you can only be as tall as you can be deep. And as well as all the amazing fitness professional stuff and the accolades and the amazingness of Ange, I also find you to be a very, very deep thinker, articulate things amazingly well. I go to Ange for my humble perspective, is probably the best way I could sum that up. It's like a love-hate thing. Go and do some boxing with Ange. I'm always shit scared.
We all have that relationship with Coach.
Yeah. Shit scared on my way there, but I always feel amazing afterwards. So great human being, and welcome to my humble little podcast, Ange.
Thank you very much for having me. I feel very special. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, cool. Hey, just nice and chilled, nice and relaxed. Do you want to give us a little bit more on sort of who you are, what you do on the coast, or anything like that? Just a brief little over.
Yeah, sure. So I work as a PT, and I'm a health, like capital health and fitness coach. So I believe fitness comes from health. I like to help people. I believe that that's like a big basket of things to go through when you start looking at fitness in that way. It's very personal. It comes down to, what you want out of your fitness and health and what your lifestyle looks like. And I really get a kick out of watching the lights come on behind people's eyes when they've been asleep for a while. And I truly believe that comes through physically changing your body as much as it does through challenging your thinking. So that's kind of what I do. If you're into that jam, I would love to help you.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. And I can confidently say, like I most people know I've been in the industry for a very, very long time and only exited the industry a couple of years ago. But I certainly wouldn't go to anybody else. So I'm a big fan, as you know, got the big banner. And you are truly very, very good at what you do. And I'd love to talk to you, because I remember that one of the first times I met you, I was cornering a fighter, and I've seen you refereeing, being part of the officiating of boxing tournaments and things like that. And I watched you in an exhibition fight, and I always thought, wow, you just looked really fearless. And I remember saying to you when I met you, I said, "Oh, you remind me like an Australian $1 million baby." You were just like in there, like really cool. And boxing, I first started boxing, I was like 12, 13, and I was a dog's breakfast, and it's changed and evolved so much, like most sports. But I suppose the point I'm getting to is I found you, my first impression was like, you were fearless. You were fighting this other lady. It was cool to watch. It really was quite incredible. And I love that saying, fortune favors the brave, or fate loves the fearless. And I've spent a lot of time, as I mentioned at the start, not necessarily encouraging failure, but making failure okay. Because I learned a very long time ago that there really isn't any such thing as failure or mistakes. It's just feedback. Some people get feedback. I've had a shitload, but in some of the perceived failures in your life, like things you might call it something different, but if you look back through the ages of your life, and even in most recent times, is there anything that kind of stands out for you that you could share that's been a real turning point in your life?
I have thought about this for the last 2 weeks, And I've got a really good answer for you. So
I didn't even tell you the question. Oh, the universe.
Yeah. No, I've been thinking, what do I want to say? Because I don't want to waste this time. I have things that I really need people to understand that will help them develop. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today was getting out of your own way. I think that is the number one problem for everybody. I think people make it too much about other people or too much about other things. But I think whatever it is, whether you want to be fearless in the ring or whether you want to, dominate your body composition, or whether you just want to get out and enjoy your work or your exercise or whatever it is, the only person that's stopping you from doing that is you. And I think the part of you that stops you from doing it is your ego. And you talked about failure as a good thing. Totally agree. And I think failure and pain are really good indicators that it's time for an ego shift or it's time to evolve. And I believe that each stage of your life, it's very healthy to evolve from the ego that you had prior to the next ego that's coming along. And ego is not a dirty word. We've always got an ego. It keeps us safe, and it can be productive as long as we consciously construct it and embrace constructing our ego for our purposes that we're going forward to, I believe. So and failure is a big part of that, because essentially you're changing your behaviors, who you are, what you do to an extent. And so of course you're going to fail the first time you do it. I mean, it's just like common sense. You didn't learn to drive a car and just all of a sudden you're Brocky driving around the streets, that's
2 wheels. Got it. I've got it. I'm good. I've got this.
It's human nature to think that you're going to be like, oh, I can ace this. I've done it 3 times now. I'm basically an expert.
Yeah.
But it takes a long time to
I'm pretty much ready for the speedway. I'm good.
Yeah, that's it. So if you want to stay the same person from when you're born to when you die, aim to never fail would be the thing that I would say about failure. If you want to evolve and change, have a full life, and take on different roles, like becoming a mother and then, becoming, whatever job that you want to do in the future, you're going to fail at that when you first start.
Yeah.
So just welcome that when it comes through. All right, cool. At least that's evidence that I've had a go. I've learned something and it's time to move forward again.
Oh, so true. What a great insight. And I think about that saying, fortune favors the brave. There was no little side note. Side note, we don't cater for the tepid, half-assed, fucking lukewarm, fucking non-committal, fucking. Yeah.
And also there will be an element of pain and discomfort and
time, money, physical adversity. Just a couple of little benefits of in the context of boxing, because you've had a great career with boxing and great advocate for the sport. Have you ever, is there a particular time, because I mean sport obviously, but there's something about boxing that I'm just getting really tested in front of fucking heaps of people, and it's just you and one other person. And I would imagine tennis and other individual sports would have the same or similar. I don't think there's anything the same as boxing, but certainly similar experiences. But I think, have you ever had things go not so well in the boxing ring and and then how to re-engineer that and reframe that? Because there's a lot of, I work with golfers, runners, ultra runners, crossfitters, fighters, and I kind of think it'd be really cool to hear it straight from you. What's some ways you sort of reframed, re-engineered things that didn't go? You got some feedback from your sport, didn't fail, didn't make a mistake, got some learnings. How did you work through that?
Oh, I've definitely failed, and I don't think that's a dirty word. I think the more comfortable you can get with failing, the higher you're going to go in life. But with what you've just said, so before the event, give away all that. Before the event, clear your mind of all that shit. You are just there. So in the rules and regulations for boxing, it is the boxer's responsibility to win the bout at all costs. It's the ref's responsibility to keep the boxer safe, and it's the coach's responsibility to look after the boxer. So when you go through those ropes, it is your responsibility to win. And that is the only thing that should be on your mind. So all that idea of learning from the past, that should have been processed before you got to that point of trying. once you have failed, like, first of all, there's only 2 people in there. One of them's always going to lose. Like, and that's, I think that's really important for life as well, because if you can just accept it and move on and go, all right, well, didn't get that one, and just take the learnings that you got back from it. We do a post-analysis fight. So, you know, what went well, what could have I done better, how could have I done it better? Keep it as simple as you can, just those 3 things, and then take that back to training, and you implement that into your training in a practical way. So that would be how I deal with it. And the other major thing that's helped me, so there's been multiple times when I've reconstructed my ego through my life to be a different person. And the most important thing I find is find someone you can trust and be the smallest person in the room and trust that person. So you want a coach you can trust, and you want some athletes around you that you can trust and model, see what they're doing, and they're going to help you to be better. Because obviously, if you knew how to do it, you would have done it, right? So you don't know. So you have to hang around people that do know so you can learn. You can't just pluck it out of thin air. It doesn't work like that.
Damn.
So that would be my suggestion for that one.
Wow. Great advice. Great advice. Love that. I love goal setting. Massive part of what I do.
Yes. Yeah. I'm fully on board with that.
So big fan. We've had many conversations about big and wild and wonderful goals that we have, other people have, and all that type of stuff. I love the whole, journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but it's still a fucking 1,000 miles. So it's still a big journey, which I think a lot of people lose sight of that. Jim Rohn had a saying, I wrote it down. It's just brilliant. You have 2 choices. You can make a living or you can design a life, which and as you know, I'm a massive advocate and believer in the depth and awareness of one's core values and the integral role that they play in our life, in the direction in our life. Would you be happy to give us an insight perhaps into what's your highest priorities, your most important things in your life, and how you sort of live your life around those highest priorities or highest importance?
So I'd like to start with thanking you, because I have a deeper understanding of this than I did, say, 24 months ago. We deconstructed these together. Now, I've always said that since becoming a mother, living a life that can help my child live her best life has always been my number 1 priority. And I now understand that deeper than that, independence to me has always been my number 1. Like, even as a little kid, like I say, Dad used to joke about it. It's like, well, you're going to do it your own way, aren't you? I was very fiercely independent. So that's always been the number 1 thing for me that's helped me get along. Now, stumble along, and then I'll say things like, I want to be, my goal for a long time was to represent Australia as the number 1 60-kilo female boxer on the international stage. And I got to that. And I would have said that was so that I could let my child see that she can be successful, and she doesn't have to let life determine the outcome of what's going on. So, we haven't had a great time of it, and happy to go into that another time, but that would be another example of deconstructing and reconstructing ego, going through that process with her. Anyway, once I get back and have a look at that, I understand that really I needed to show her that in spite of everything, you can still be independent. There's nothing that's ever going to take your independence away. And at the moment, to me, that's translating in my life as fighting in business and in fighting like as it is, but to show her that you are the master of your destiny. You're the one that's here to decide what's happening to you. No one can stop that. That's the way it is. It's the law of the universe. And that's something that I value. Like, that's my number 1 value. And when I really come back to my values, a lot of the time, it boils back to just that one thing. Like, that's my core belief about how things work. Because I understand that, it helps me to have faith in where I'm going and manufacture hope, I guess, because I'm looking for evidence that that's true, and I'm looking for evidence that I can make that true. And it's very motivating for me making that true, because it's what I believe. I want to make that evident for other people so they can believe it, so they can be the master of their own destiny and all those sorts of things.
Such a great message, Ange.
Yeah.
A lot of people will benefit a lot from hearing that. I think
Yeah.
some of us, and even at different stages of our lives, lose focus on the fact, like you said, we actually at the crux of it all, we really are independent human beings that can make choices and decisions. We will for the rest of our lives. And if you're not making your own decisions, then there's a bigger fucking conversation to be had. But essentially, like you said, and I like how you said it, you said, oh, when I boil it down, it's a great reminder. It's like, yeah, we are fiercely independent, and we are the masters of our destinies. So cool. Is there one other sort of value or high priority importance you lean towards in your life on a sort of daily basis or regular basis?
Look, yeah, but they all kind of stem from that. So I believe, like, things that really motivate me are breaking free of the status quo and not having to compromise your life just because everyone kind of says you have to. I believe in, I guess, love is another thing that isn't related to that. I believe that I solidly believe in love, as I believe that is where faith and religion and spirituality and all those things nest from. It's just a really basic idea of love. And if you can really connect with love, whatever you call it, I think people call it different names because of the way that humans think. They have to put things in little boxes. But really, if you can just expand the way that you feel and understand that everything comes from a place of love, you can find an immense power in that. And I believe the message of that, helping people understand that, is something that can help everybody in every way that can be helped. Like if you're talking about having peace in your relationships, having peace in the world, on every scale, I believe that that's something that if everybody understood that a little deeper, we would all be in a better place. I believe everything personally and like, way up to the top of politics and all that sort of stuff, everything would be in a much better place if we were there.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Wow. What was it? The Beatles. All you need is love. They had it sorted. They're all over it.
Oh, and there's good music about this. Yeah.
Yeah. They're a Maori band from New Zealand.
Oh, were they? Well, right. I must have been educated incorrectly.
I'm just trying to claim one for the brownies.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Great stuff, Ange. Write a book. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay.
Oh wow. So good.
Yeah.
The mental edge. I want to sort of summarize on this short podcast. I'm mindful of time, and what you've shared so far is absolutely incredible. I want to talk about the mental edge in the context of sport. To me, what's going on above the shoulders is a real game changer. It's not the be all and end all. I do, as I get further along, I understand we need to be physically sorted when we're competitive in sport. But I think when I look at the common thread of the top 5-10%ers, like what's going on above the head above the shoulders is paramount, is really, really important. What's your thoughts on mental toughness, mental performance? What's your genuine thoughts on it?
So to have a proper discussion, and I'd probably need a bit longer, but to boil it down, I believe mental performance, everyone is innately driven to be the best they can. I think it's the first thing we need to understand. Like, it's human nature. It's if you remove all the blockages that are standing in the way between you and where you want to be, you will be there. Once you're there, so I believe, I don't know if you know Maslow's hierarchy, but I'm a big believer in that. So if any of the people listening understand that, or if they don't, quickly have a Google and then you understand what I'm about to talk about. So you've got all the base of the pyramid. Like, most of the work that you need to do for mental toughness and performance is feeling good, having a safe place to be, making sure your basic needs are met, making sure you have a good circle around you. And that takes a lot of work. That takes 90% of the work. When you get to the top little 10%, and that's where the people that you're talking about, we're talking about self-actualization, that's when I think you can, like when I say you lean into love, I think when you go into self-actualization, you can start playing with a few different ideas. Like, yeah, okay, I love myself, and I love myself enough right now to know that I'm going to need to go through pain for the next hour, an hour and a half in this training session, so that I can love myself to where I need to be. So while as a coach, I would never stand over someone and say, you know, suffer, suffer, suffer for 90 minutes. I would never say that. As an athlete, it's my responsibility to walk into that and own that and put myself there. Because if I need to own it, in order for me to own it in my performance, I need to own it in my training. And for me, a big eye opener was when I went to the World Championships, and I always had it in my head that, you know, you need the best coach, and you'll be the best if your coach is the best. And I went there and I saw the athletes that were the best didn't necessarily have the coaches that were the best. They were the best athletes. Yeah. They turned up to training. They turned up to the meals, ate exactly what they should do. They did what they should do in between meals. They had the best mental health. They were the ones that were looking after their spirit and their performance. They were the ones that were resting well. All that stuff that's underneath the pyramid, they took responsibility for that. And in taking responsibility for yourself, that's where the courage, the confidence, the drive comes from. It's not like something where you can just go out and buy it from a shop. You have to work for it for a really long time before you know it, like in your heart. When you're tired and when you're gasping for air, you can still stand by the belief that I'm good enough. I can do it. I've done my best. I know I have. I am my best. I know I am, and I'm confident that I can do well here. I think for me recently the big breakthrough has been, it's up to you. Like on a whole nother level, it's up to you. Yeah. Be the smallest person in the room, soak up everything you can, fail as often as you can, push through as much as you can, work on your resilience as much as you can, which means just failing and getting over it as quickly as you can. Yeah, and then once you get there, then be the best athlete that you can. Like, it's relentless, but in a loving way. You can't do it from a hate way where you're punishing yourself. It can't happen, because that energy just fizzes out. You don't have that unlimited power that you can get from having all those other things I just discussed. I hope that makes sense.
Oh, I must admit, it makes total sense to me. And I have never, ever, ever in my life heard it described like that. And I find that so fascinating, because it does make it's so, yeah, like Ange said, Google Abraham Maslow and his hierarchy of needs. Because, yeah, like you said, I mean, I couldn't help but think how simplistic that was, what you just said, like the basics down there. Simplistic, but yet, you know, how many of us actually have, like, we're sleeping really good, we're hydrating good, we're eating good, we've got a nice home to go back to, where our worlds are surrounded by important people that love us. And you know, that's work. That's really, really hard work.
Up here is work too. Do I have stinking thinking? Like, that's in the you know, safety and belonging. That's where that is. It's not up in self-actualization. Once you're in self-actualization, that stuff is resolved. You know, I have good relationships. I am worthy of love, and I am good at giving love. You know, those sorts of things. They're all underneath. That's where the body of the work is. And I see a lot of people just skip through those bits and try and be the best they can be. So it doesn't work like that. Pyramid's going to fall over. You don't have a strong base.
Yeah, that is such a pearl of wit. Ange, just fucking coming in here, sprinkling wisdom everywhere.
I've been thinking on it.
Wow. And just too, little disclaimer, Ange hasn't seen, these questions were not sent to Ange. This is just firing off the hip. That really is quite profound. Like, I am like, love it. Great advice. And I really hope people Google it, and after listening to the podcast, come back to the podcast and use what Ange was saying as a frame of reference, because that is brilliant. Because like you say, a lot of athletes, I work a lot with confidence, self-belief, things like that. And a lot of people are driven, the two powerful drivers in the human experience being pain and pleasure, or what we call towards or away motivation. And pain, that can be very, very motivating for a short period of time, and it's not particularly healthy to continue that way. but it's such a, you got me spinning on the spot. I'm gonna
Well,
do
it's like a cancer. If you invest only in that, it's cancerous to all the other levels of the pyramid. Whereas if you can use it as a tool, that pain, I totally, and this is the bit where people seem to get a little bit confused.
very powerful motivator. Yeah.
Yeah, you use it as a tool for pleasure. So I'm going to go through this pain to get away from being less able to move my head or less able to control the ring or whatever it is. It's going to be painful so that I can control the ring and I can, evade the punch or even take a punch, like, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Love it. And to close up really quickly, three little tidbits, anything, little pearls of wisdom, whether it's and you even using boxing as a metaphor for life. Is there anything, or even tips and tricks for athletes? Just a couple of little Anges.
Yeah. Okay. It's always only you. So if you're ever making it about someone else, like think about being in the ring, there's only you in there. You are it. From the day, like when you're born to when you die, you're the only one that's going to be there every single day, every single minute. It's only ever a journey with you and yourself. So when things get complicated, we're often focusing on what we think other people want or what they do want or what they tell us they want or what we think they need or any of those other huge variables of other people. It's not about them. It's never about them. It's always about you. Don't be scared to change. Lean into change. Not in the boxing ring, don't always lean in. You're going to get punched in the face. But when I mean lean in, I mean a lot of people, they see something challenging or fearful or something they're not used to, and they kind of back away from it. You don't always want to be backing away from things that are challenging to you, otherwise you're never going to change. So lean in would be the other thing I would invite people to do. And like I said at the start, just get out of your own way. Just stop stopping yourself. Imagine if you woke up tomorrow and you had everything you've ever wanted, and really sit and imagine that for a second. And then if you work backwards from there, you just do the stuff that gets you there. Like, I know that sounds ridiculously simple, but for everybody I've seen to make it true, that's literally all it is. It's just a journey of one step and then another step and then another step. And then you get to where you want to go. Just don't give up on yourself. Just get out of your own way and keep moving forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, near and far, that was sensational. I think that, just to jump on that last little point, I think it's interesting. We often don't even give ourselves permission to the amount of athletes and people I've worked with, and it's like step one, give yourself permission to go for it. Don't maybe I'll just wait a little bit, I'll lose a bit of weight. I'll
wait till I'm a bit more fit, or I'll wait till I'm a bit more fit and then I'll join the gym. I'll wait till I've got a little bit further down before.
And then I'll go and see Ange. It's fucking hold on a second. That's not gonna work. And where can people find you? And just if you're listening to this podcast, 10 out of 10 from me. Ange gets the star rating. There's Bryce, a great boxer as well. And
Bryce is amazing.
Works
so
with Ange.
Yeah, you can find us. Bryce and I are both boxing coaches. You can find us at Impact Boxing. So that's on Instagram, best place to find that. If you want to find me directly, I'm Coach Ange on Instagram. It's Coach_Ange, not Coach.Ange, or you get some soccer guy in Italy.
I've been following him for ages, thinking I was
like, wow, Ange is really good at soccer.
Ange looks different. That's okay.
So you can find me there, or obviously they can get in touch with you and get my number if they want to call me that way. I'm completely open. I love my life. I love helping people. This is what I want to do. It gives me joy. So if you want help, please let me help you. I would love to help you.
Oh, that's the best. Ange, thank you so much for your time. I know you're getting after it, helping people, but I appreciate you sharing your time with us.
No, thank you. It's been a joy. It's been great.
Awesome. There we go.